I want to do a quick look at the family tree here of BNY. So there's the three of us. There's myself, Owen, there's Mark, and there's Peter. We're the main hosts. We have extensions of the family, which would be James and Joe. They are our good friends. They come on for the fantasy draft, and they've been on for one reason or another if we're like talking about a game that they also played or something like that. Then we have friend Kyle. This is primarily Mark's friend. Peter knows him as well. I've never met friend Kyle. However, I feel as though I know him. He is an extension that has never been on the podcast. But I am making this distinction because we also have listener Kyle. Listener Kyle is our number one writer-inner. He actually emails BNY Gaming Pod to participate in the episode, as anyone can do, but it is a lift to get people to do that. Most other podcasts, they have a bit easier. Maybe they're commenting on YouTube. Maybe you go to their Patreon. There's more centralized locations. And I'll say here now, if someone leaves a comment, some sort of question that they want answered, and they leave it on the YouTube, I mean, I won't say no to that if it's relevant. But listener Kyle, he heard our calls. I think it was about 2 episodes ago when we were predicting 2024. We each pick a game for whoever wins the predictions. We then have to play that game in the subsequent year. And Mark, I believe, is the one that brought up, like, wait, what if we don't get any right? And we said maybe a listener could help us. I said, listener Kyle, he has our ear. And he heard us, and he has written in. Said, hello, BNY. A game under 30 hours, question mark? Try Nex Machina. I believe that's a Housemarque game. Arcade type game. I think that would be an interesting one. He said it's one of those games where you can get as deep into it as you want. It's also not a PC exclusive, so Peter doesn't get left out. Look at that.
Thank you,
He's
Kyle.
even thinking about Peter.
Kyle, in a few weeks, I want you to write in and say if you think it's I crossed the line by clipping my toenails during the podcast. If you think I did, I'll never do it again.
He also added, sticking with arcade titles but with more story substance, The Wonderful 101, an acquired taste. So going in with an open mind helps, but at any rate, you will find one of the funniest games ever made. I think that is actually a really great pick, because that's not a game I've ever really considered playing, but it has a devout fan base in the background. Not the most popular game ever, but the people that like it really like it. Mark, have you ever played The Wonderful 101?
No, I never did. It's not one I've ever like been dying to play. I've heard cool things about it. I think I would like it just because it is very different. You know, that's something I definitely appreciate in the game, and I think it would scratch that itch.
One of my favorite YouTube reviewers, who doesn't really review games anymore, Matthew Matosis, big fan of Wonderful 101. I'm willing to take his word on it. I'm willing to take listener Kyle's word on it. He also said, you guys smashed it in 2023, by the way. Hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. We did, Kyle. Included his Spotify Wrapped. Listened to almost 4,000 minutes of us. Top 8% fan. That's amazing. Thank you for sending that to us. It makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
It does. Although, if he's not the top 1%, I'm wondering which episodes he skipped.
Well, I tried to do the math roughly of like how many minutes we possibly podcasted, and it probably wouldn't be that much above 4,000. So I don't know, stiff competition at the top, I guess.
Those of you in the UK who listen a lot as well.
Yes, thank you. Across the pond, we appreciate you as well. All right. Let's get into what
I've said so many things on this podcast that I've forgotten about, and it scares the shit out of me. It keeps me up at night. The fact that we will talk for 3 hours, and 12 hours later, I will barely remember a goddamn thing we all of us said on this fucking podcast.
I like to imagine that our like top 1% fan is someone with an anime avatar on Twitter that is just putting clips together for the day
Yep.
we blow up.
Yep, just keeping all of our skeletons in the closet. It's like, in episode 67, Peter said this really inappropriate joke. And isn't it bad? I'm like, it is bad. It is a bad joke. I shouldn't have said that.